Okay, in this video, we are going to install and configure DHCP server in Windows Server 2019. So DHCP Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol is a network protocol that allows a server to automatically assign IP address and other network settings to device on a network. So installing a DHCP server on a Windows Server 2019 can be useful if you want to manage the IP addresses and the network settings for a large number of devices. So in this video we are going to install and configure DHCP server. Okay, so I have this domain controller ready where I'm going to install the DHCP server. So if you have dedicated server for DHCP, you can install on dedicated server too. For this demonstration purpose, I'm going to install on this domain controller. So first thing first, make sure you have to change your computer name. So I already did that on the process of installing and configuring domain controller. So if you have brand new server where you are trying to install and configure DHCP server, then you have to change computer name and you have to configure the IP address for the server. So make sure your server have static IP, and again your server is up to date. All right, so now we are going to install and configure DHCP server. Okay, so first thing, go and manage, add role and features. Now click on next, role based feature based installation, click on next. Now this is the FQDN, fully qualified domain name for the domain controller, and then IP for the domain controller. So I'm going to install DHCP server on this domain controller. So the IP address is 172.16.10.95. Now go ahead and click on next. Now we are going to install DHCP server. Check DHCP server here and click on add features. Now we are going to click on next. Now we are going to select the default one. We are not going to select anything on here, just click on next. Now this is just the information about DHCP server. Now just click on next. Okay, so if you want to restart your server, you can check this restart the destination server automatically if required. I'm not going to restart my server, so I'm going to just click on install. Okay, so this will take some time to finish the installation process, and after finishing the installation process, we are going to configure our DHCP server. Okay, the installation process is done. Now we are going to complete our DHCP configuration. So just click on complete DHCP configuration right here, and it will open another wizard. Okay, so this is just a description about the creating security groups for DHCP server administration. Now click on next. So you can use the default credential, which is IT skill up /administrator. If you have alternative credential, you can specify here, but for this time I'm going to use administrator for the installation and configuration. So just leave it there and then click on commit. Okay, so our configuration process is done. I'm just going to simply close this widget. Now go on your server manager, close this one again. Now if you go on here, it says configuration completed for DHCP server at DC1. So DC1 is our computer name. So now we have successfully configured DHCP server. So if you go on all server here, go on dashboard, you can see our DHCP server here. So now go on tools and click on DHCP. So it will open the DHCP console. Let me maximize this console. Now this is our QDN fully qualified domain. So dc1.itskillup.online. Now we are going to expand it. Now IPv4. Now there is nothing on the DHCP right now because we did not configure anything on it. So now we are going to configure our DHCP server. Okay, just click on IPv4 and right click and click on new scope. So before doing that, if there is a red mark in here, you can go and authorize the process. So if you have red tick mark here, you can just click on authorize. Right now everything is good, so we have this green tick mark. So if you have the red, then you have the authorize option there. So now I'm going to click on IPv4, right click and go new scope. Now in here we are going to configure our DHCP server. Okay, so this is the DHCP server console. Now we are on IPv4 and this is the new wizard. So this is just a welcome page. Click on next and this is the scope name. So what scope name you want to specify in here? For me, I'm going to just provide, let's say scope there, let's say DHCP scope and IT. Yes, and description, you can also specify the description. Okay, for me, I'm not going to specify the description now. Just click on next. Now in here you have to provide the IP range. So let's go ahead and go on command prompt and click on ipconfig, type ipconfig/all, and in here there is no any DHCP server because we don't have any DHCP server, so we are configuring DHCP server now. So in here we have the default gateway 172.16.10.100, right? So we have to create a scope. We have to create a range of the IP addresses that are assigned for that scope. So this is our 172.16.10.100. So I'm going to 172.16.10. So let's say you are using from 50, let's say 20 to 90. Okay, so after 100 we are going to give the IP for static IP for other devices. So for now we are going to start our IP range from 172.16.10.20 and I'm going to end my IP address from 172.16.10. let's say 60. So this is my IP range. So this is what my client machine will get when they are connected to this network. So the starting IP will from 172.16.10.20 and then end IP address is 172.16.10.60. Okay, now click on next. Now this is the exclusion and delay. So if you have any exclusion for any addresses, you can specify here. I don't have any exclusion for now, so I'm just click on next. So this is the lease duration. So on default you have 8 days, but I'm going to change the lease day to 2 days. Okay, so after 2 days the lease will expire and then you will get a new IP address. Okay, click on next. So this is the DHCP configuration option, and it is asking us to configure the DHCP option now. So I'm going to configure this option now. So just click on yes, I want to configure this option now, and then click on next. Now this is the router default gateway. So we have the default gateway right here. Just provide the default gateway. Okay, and click on add. Now click on next. So make sure you have the default gateway right here and click on next. Okay, so as you can see here, it automatically provides our parent domain, which is idskillup.online, and then IP address is right here. So I don't want this IP address for the DNS server. So I'm going to remove this one and just this one for the domain name for the DNS servers, because we have the DNS server on this domain controller. So I'm just providing the IP address of the DNS server. Fine. Now after specify those DNS server, I'm going to click on next. So this is Win server. So if you have any Win server, you can specify the IP address here. I don't have any, so I'm just going to click on next. Now, do you want to activate this scope now? I want to activate this scope now. So just select this option and click on next. Now we successfully complete our configuration process for new scope. So I'm going to click on finish. Now, as you can see here, our address pool is, let's say, address pool is 172.16.10.22, 172.16.10.16, and if you go on scope option, we have router is 172.16.10.100, and the DNS server is 172.16.10.95, and then our DNS domain name is idskillup.online. Okay, so we don't have any leads right now because there is no any device connect to this network. So I'm going to connect one client machine and see what address list that client machine will get. Okay, so now I'm going to restart the DHCP server. So click on our domain name here, right click and alt task, and click on restart. Okay, so we just successfully restarting our DHCP server. Okay, now let's move to our client PC. So this is my client PC, which is already, this PC is already joined on our domain controller. So I'm going to log in as an administrator. Okay, your account is disabled. IT skill up / administrator. Okay, so let's check the IP of this PC and check all of those details. What are we getting from the DHCP server? Okay, so we are on client PC now. Let's go ahead and type cmd and enter the command ipconfig/op. Okay, so here we have the information about the IP. Okay, so we are on our domain itskillup.online, and as you can see here, we have our IP address 172.16.10.20. If you go back to our DHCP server and check on address list here, you can see that the PC1 is already getting IP from this DHCP server. Okay, so the IP is 172.16.10.20, and in here we have the server scope from 20 to 60. So this is the first IP which is assigned to this PC. Okay, and then we have the lease obtained right now, and lease will expire on Thursday, March 2. And this is our default gateway, and this is our DHCP server, and this is our DNS server. So that this is how you can install and configure DHCP server on Windows Server 2019. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you.